Well, the days of the Nitto Recon Grapplers on my 2020 Ram Rebel are numbered. In fact, they're down to hours now. So let's go to the tire shop, get these guys replaced with some new tires, and I'll talk through why these aren't making the cut for my truck. Let's go get it done. All right, so now we got some new tires on the truck, so let's talk about my tire experience here. First, before we dive into the new tires here, let's talk about those old Recons. So those were Nitto Recon Grapplers in 285/65/20, so basically a 35-inch tire. That was the largest tire I could get in this 20-inch size without getting too crazy with the weight of the tire. I was really concerned about that kind of killing my mileage. I wanted a big tire, but also kind of not overly heavy. So I ended up in that 285/65/20. It's kind of a golden size, I think. It's like the perfect size for these trucks. But with that said, couple things as far as the Recon's performance. So I had them for about 2,000–3,000 miles. Dry contact, so if you're driving on dry surfaces like this, the tires work out really well, provided it's warm out. Once the temperatures start to drop, those Recons basically turned into bricks on each wheel. So for whatever reason, that tire compound is so hard on the Recons that when the weather starts to get really cold and everything starts to freeze up, the tires don't react very well, and they turn into basically ice blocks on all four corners of the truck. So when I was turning, when I was accelerating, when I was starting to stop, I was sliding left and right regardless of the road conditions. So it could be the driest road ever. If it was, let's say, 32 degrees outside or 15 degrees outside, those tires were absolutely miserable to drive on. So they got really rough and they were sliding all over the place. As far as driving in the rain, they did not have that many sipes, and we'll talk about the siping on the new tires in a second. But they had about a half as much siping on the tire as most of the other AT tires have in that category. So wet performance was kind of dismal. Now, the Nitto website says I think these tires are 4, or the Recons were 4 out of 5 on their rating system. I would say they're more along the lines of a 2.5, 3, but that's all my opinion based on my own experience in these tires. So it is what it is at that point in time. So like I said, cold weather performance sucked. Rain was dismal. Snow was miserable, and I knew I wasn't getting snow tires. They weren't 3-peak snow rated or 3-peak rated tires, and having driven on Falcons in the past, which are arguably some of the best AT tires with the 3-peak rating, so they're the best AT tires I think in the snow so far, I knew the Nittos weren't going to be up to that bar, but I didn't realize how bad they would actually be. So just a real world example. So my driveway getting into my house is about 5 degrees when I back up into the garage. So when I was backing up with about a 1/4 inch of snow, I would have to put my truck in 4-wheel drive to get up my asphalt driveway into the garage. Now, again, I realize that these aren't 3-peak snow rated tires, but cold weather plus snow basically rendered these tires somewhat useless in that application. And to me, that's not the kind of tire that needs to be in a truck that's driven primarily in the Midwest. So snow performance sucked, cold performance was miserable, rain was meh, kind of in the middle, and really the only thing that these things did well is really the only thing that the Recons did well is drive on dry pavement that was warm well. And they were pretty quiet tires. For how aggressive they looked, they were really quiet. So what I ended up doing is replacing those tires with the same size Toyo Open Country AT3s. So yes, these are 3-peak snow rated tires. So it's kind of an apples to oranges comparison here. I haven't had snow yet, so I really can't opine too much on that. But I will say these are slightly louder than the Nittos, so the Nittos do win in that bracket. But it was extremely cold this morning and I was driving around and I noticed these are far better in those really cold conditions than the Recons ever were. So by all accounts, I think it was a win replacing the tires with these. So these are 3-peak snow rated tires. I've heard a lot of really good reviews about the AT2s, and these are the newest version, the AT3s, which are supposed to have better wet traction. Haven't had anything yet. Like I said, I just got these installed yesterday, so still got to put some miles on them. But overall, these are the new tires that I ended up going with. The biggest thing that you'll notice right off the bat is if you look at the amount of siping on the tires, there's about more than double the amount of siping on this AT tire than there ever was on the Recon. And I would say that probably it contributes to a lot of the wet traction improvement with these guys, as well as the snow rating, but also the overall tire compound. So at the end of the day, I'm now running Open Country AT3s. I'm pretty excited about them. Heard a lot of really good things. I'll come back with some real world reviews of these things once I have more road time on them and when I have more experience in other conditions like snow, ice, and rain. But overall, that's the new tires on the truck, and I'm excited. Anxious to see how well these perform. But if I were to offer any sort of advice for anyone considering tires in that 285, 65, 20 size, I would say if you live where it gets cold, avoid those Nittos. They were not very well suited for the application. Toyo, Falcon, I believe there's a few other. Cooper might be another one out there. The Cooper AT3 4S might be another tire if you're looking for a not so aggressive looking tire, but still in that size bracket. But overall, those are the new tires here. Just wanted to provide a quick update for what was going on with the situation. I know I posted a lot about it on Instagram, but we got rid of the Nittos, and now we're running Toyos, and we'll see how these do on my truck. But with that said, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it.